Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPen.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 26 for you ahead of UFC Vegas 18. We got a good lineup for you. We're first going to be joined by the former UFC lightweight champion, future Hall of Famer, just a legend of the sport, Frankie Edgar, to preview his co-main event fight against Cody Stamann. And we got Frankie on Friday evening. I really appreciate him taking his time. He's obviously starting the weight cut, so he wasn't too chatty, but it's still a really good talk on what this fight means for him. Obviously, remember, he was supposed to fight Sandhagen in his bantamweight debut at UFC Raleigh in January 2020. Obviously didn't come to fruition because he took that Korean zombie fight, got knocked out, ended up making his bantamweight debut this summer, beat Pedro Munoz, split decision, really close fight, but a really good performance from Edgar. Proved he really belongs at bantamweight with that win. If he can go out and beat Cody Stamann, I fully expect him to fight for the belt next time out. We're then joined by Diego Ferreira to preview his fight against Beneil Dariush. This is a rematch. They fought in 2014. This is a phenomenal fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is a pivotal fight for both these guys. Both these guys have had a hard time fighting guys ranked above them. Ferreira had a tough 2020, submitted Anthony Pettis, then didn't fight since then. That UFC 246 card, the one Connor knocked out Cowboy. So obviously, it's been a bit of a layup, but this is a fight he really wants to get back. He thinks he's better than Dariush. He's excited to prove it. So that was a really good chat. We're then joined by Cody Stamann to preview his fight against Andre Ewell. He was supposed to face Merab Dvalishvili on this card. Dvalishvili got COVID. Stamann wanted to just get another fight, and he hasn't fought since that short notice decision loss to Jimmy Rivera, which he's really disappointed about that fight. That fight, he said, that just wasn't him. It was kind of, he got up off the couch. It was kind of offered to him on a week and a half notice, flying out to Abu Dhabi, so he took it, but he has no regrets about that. But he's really here to prove who he is in this fight, and he thinks he can really dominate Andre Ewell, whether it's on the ground or the feet. We're then joined by Andre Ewell to preview his short notice fight against Cody Stamann. Ewell doesn't think this is a short notice fight, although it's only 2 weeks notice. It's a fight I broke for BJ Penn, but Ewell said this is a fight that he's been training for ever since his last one for a fight. He thought he was going to get one on that December 19th card. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition, but gets a tough test in 13th ranked Cody Stamann. And then finally, we're joined by Mike Rodriguez to preview his fight. Mike's coming off that terrible loss to Ed Herman. Not terrible from Mike Rodriguez's standpoint, but just terrible with the ref. Obviously, he TKO'd Ed Herman. A good shot to the body. The ref thought it hit Ed Herman in the cup. Time was called. Then in the third round, Ed Herman goes out and submits Mike Rodriguez. So Mike's really just looking forward to getting past one. We also talked to Mike about video games. He's a big gamer. I play video games myself, so we were just chatting about what some of the video games he's playing. But that was a really fun chat. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and thank you all for listening. All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Frankie Edgar, who's co-headlining a show coming up here. Frankie, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, obviously. Co-main event here against Cody Stamann. This was the guy you were supposed to make that bantamweight debut against last January. It kind of comes full circle. Like, do you always know you were eventually going to fight him?
Yeah, I imagine we were going to cross paths. Going down 35, he's a top contender, one of the best in this weight class, and always want to fight the best. So I figured we would eventually cross paths. Yeah.
After you went over Munoz, a lot of people thought you versus Dominic Cruz, you versus TJ Dillashaw, some of these legend fights, like you versus Aldo again at 35. Did any of those interest you, or did you always want to fight these top contenders?
I mean, yeah, those fights will always interest me. Guys that have history and accolades like that. I mean, those are definitely fights that interest me as well. But I definitely want to be a world champion, and fighting guys that are ahead of me is really where I want to be.
And Cody Stamann returned to the win column, knocked out Marlon Moraes, a guy you know pretty well. So what did you take away from that win?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good win, man. I know how good Marlon is. I trained with him on a day-to-day basis back in, for a very long time. I thought Marlon did a good job. I think he got caught, standing in front for a second and got froze up. Marlon does a very, very good job of picking up kicks. Probably some of the best that I've ever seen. So it was surprising that he was able to get that off. But, anything can happen in a fight.
And Sandhagen's striking is obviously very good, but we saw against Sterling, he got caught early in the grappling. As part of this fight is to use your wrestling. Everyone knows how good your wrestling is.
I mean, I always try to use my wrestling in fights, and I wanted to use wrestling in my last fight, and I wasn't able to as much there. So, of course, that's always the plan, but you never know what's going to happen come fight night.
Yeah, cutting back down to 35. Are you expecting another easy cut? I know the first time you were kind of worried, not too worried, but kind of just dreading having to cut weight again.
Yeah, no, it's been smooth. It's been pretty much quite the same as last time. I'm already very close. I'm right where I need to be, honestly.
And not having to fight 5 rounds. I know you kind of wanted that bantamweight debut to be 3 rounds, ended up getting pushed back to 5 rounds. Now at 3 rounds, like how much better do you think you're going to feel? Because now you could go 3 hard rounds at 35 because you already know you can go 5 rounds at 35.
Yeah, 3 rounds is cool. Five, we get paid the same, 3 rounds or 5 rounds. So, I don't mind doing 3 rounds. I'm definitely a 5 round fighter. I do think that. But 3 rounds, I'm going to really be able to have my foot on the gas the whole time, really push that pace.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because Corey is obviously a very good striker. You have some good striking, good wrestling. Like it seems like a very exciting fight for the fans.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be exciting. New blood versus some old blood, and his style is very exciting. I'm not gonna have to look for this guy. He comes forward too, and yeah, we're gonna meet in the middle and we're gonna clash.
And he's obviously one of those top ranked guys. Like if he beat Sterling, he would have been fighting for the belt. So what do you think a win over Corey does for you?
Yeah, I think a win over Corey gets me a title shot. I think this is a perfect fight to catapult me into that title and make my reign here at 35.
And you're obviously fighting about a month before the bantamweight title fight too. So that sets you up on a perfect time frame to fight the winner.
Exactly, man. The timing is right. I got to go in there and put a stellar performance in and really turn some heads.
You're a big underdog here. It seems like your last couple of fights, like even against Munoz, you're a big underdog. What's with everyone not kind of giving you this respect?
I'm used to it, man. It's kind of since the very beginning. I don't know many fights where I've been the favorite, to be honest with you. So I'm the undersized overachiever, and I love it, man. I relish in it, and it don't matter to me. Every fight I've been in, to me, I'm not the underdog. I feel like I'm gonna win, and this is no different.
Is it kind of weird that Corey Sandhagen's considered one of these long guys for bantamweight, like with a big reach, but he only has a 2-inch reach advantage on you because you're so used to fighting guys with massive reach advantage that his length and size won't really be a factor.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, it's just gonna have some complications. Of course, it's gonna present me some things. But I fought Oliveira, I fought Yair, I fought Max. I do well against these tall guys.
And obviously, you former lightweight champion, you fought for the belt at featherweight, but if you win this one, it seems like the title shot is next. What would that mean to you and your legacy if you get another shot of fighting for belt and become a 2-division champion?
I mean, that would just put everything to make it makes everything worth it. I mean, I lost that title in 2012, and I've been come close numerous times. At a different weight class, and here I am, my third weight class. Come February 2nd, it's going to be 14 years in the UFC, and to be fighting the best competition over 14 years and not one, not two, but three weight classes, that says something.
And Corey Sandhagen's only ever been finished once. That was a quick submission by Sterling. So do you think a stoppage win adds a bit more to win and really cements your case for that next title shot?
Yeah, absolutely. You go out there and you put someone away, that definitely puts a stamp on the fight and really puts everybody on notice.
And this is back at the Apex, just missing that Fight Island experience. I know you're supposed to go there with Munoz. Are you glad it's in Vegas, or did you wish you were going to be heading out there?
I'm glad it's in Vegas, man. The flight, the quarantine, all that stuff, it would be a great experience. I'm sure later on after you relish back on some of the experiences, but yeah, this makes life a little easier for me.
And smaller octagon too at the Apex. It kind of favors grapplers. Do you think that's going to be a big advantage for you, where you're not? I guess he comes forward anyways, but you're not going to have as much room to close the distance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. If you're a good fighter, you should be able to win in, win on a football field or win in a telephone booth. You know what I mean? So the best guy usually wins. Although I do, if I think back to all my fights, I think every single one of my fights in a small octagon, I actually won fight of the night, and I don't believe I've lost any fights in a small octagon as well.
And your last fight, obviously, a really close one against Pedro Munoz. I actually thought you edged that out. So after that fight, like, what were your main takeaways? Obviously, bantamweight debut, a really close fight, like 5 rounds with one of the top guys.
Yeah, I was happy with my performance. Obviously, I look back, there's some things that I could have done better that maybe made it a little easier. But I mean, Pedro's no joke, man. He's been on top for a while, so that's just definitely showed me that I belong fighting the best guy still.
Do you think there's a bit of your wrestling at bantamweight is going to play a bit more factor just because you're not going to be outsized, you're not going to be edge strength? Because at 55 and 45, a lot of those guys were a lot bigger and stronger than you.
Yeah, I do. I mean, less mass is easier to push back and maybe grab guys, hold guys down. So yeah, this will definitely coming down to 35. I think just kind of lets my career go a little longer here.
You've been pretty active as of late. Obviously, you had that stretch after the Ortega and Swanson where you're just kind of waiting for that title shot. And then since then, you've been active. Is this kind of what you like, is fighting every, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, ideally, I guess I fight 2 times a year. It's probably like ends up being like 5 in 2 years, something like that. But yeah, if I can be active, that's the way to go. I think active fighters, it just makes life easier.
And then if you get your hand raised here, is it basically wait for a title shot? Like even if some other fights you think are interesting, you'd kind of wait until that title?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I really got to see how this plays out and what the landscape looks after this fight, and obviously after the title fight. But yeah, I mean, if I feel like the title is really close, then I'll sit back and wait for it. But if I gotta fight another fight, then so be it. I want to be active.
You've already done one of these like COVID fight weeks once, so it's just with everything different. So how much better do you think, more prepared you can be for this one, knowing what fight week is like and knowing how you have to train and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, just having the experience of doing it once before definitely helps you the second time around. Honestly, the whole getting ready for a fight during COVID, it has its challenges, but also has its benefits. I don't have to worry about going out to dinners and going out to missing weddings and stuff like that. There's really not much to do. I go home, I train, I go home, and that's about it.
You've already had success bantamweight, so do you kind of think you've been a 35 your entire career?
I probably have been. I really weigh pretty much the same as I did when I fought at 55. My body just looks better when I get down. I'm a little more ripped, and that's always good for the pitchers.
Do you think that just adds to your legacy even more, that you won a championship about 20 pounds, like 2 weight classes more than what you really should have been fighting at?
Yeah, I mean, I think that puts a feather in my cap. I don't know how many people really say that. I really fought at my natural walk around weight. I used to eat the morning of weigh-ins, so I mean that on fight night I still weighed 155. These dudes probably weighed 75.
The 39 years young, you don't really see many 39-year-olds getting up there to a title shot. So what's been the key to your success, having this much success so late in your career?
I just think just being consistent, and constantly being on top of the game. I never take too much time off, even if I don't fight. I'm in the gym trying to get better, trying to help my teammates, and just the people I keep around me, man. I really had the same coaches I've had since day one, and that definitely keeps you grounded and keeps you focused on what we need to get done.
Have you been looking at Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling just to get some preparation, or is it just solely focused on Corey, and after the fight you'll turn to them?
Yeah, I'm just worried about Corey, man. He's it's a tall enough mountain to climb, and I don't want to get distracted looking past him because my hands are full on Saturday night.
And fighting on Super Bowl weekend, obviously this is a pretty big card. So what's it like to be on this? I'm surprised you weren't the main event though.
Yeah, it's always good to be on the big cards. Super Bowl weekend. Like I said, I made my debut on Super Bowl weekend back in 07. So here we are, 14 years later. A little bit older, a little bit more wiser, I'd say, and we get to go do it again.
Just 2 more things I want to ask on is obviously TJ Dillashaw is eligible to fight again. What do you kind of expect from him when he makes his return? 2 years off, a long layoff after the USADA suspension, all that.
Yeah, I mean, Dillashaw is a great athlete. He's obviously been in the gym the whole time. I'm sure he's not going to really skip a beat, but I mean, you never know how long he was doing steroids or EPO or whatever he got caught with, and you don't know if he was doing it for a while he was competing and now he can't. I don't know if that's going to mess with his head or not, but he seems like he's a hell of an athlete, so I'm sure he's going to adjust.
And you become champion of bantamweight. The UFC comes to you and says, Frankie, you pick your first defense against these 3 guys. What one of you adds more to your legacy? Beating Aldo again at 35, beating Cruz, or beating Dillashaw?
That Aldo one might sound a little juicy to me, man. It's kind of get back some revenge. 2 fights, that one might hold the cake.
And just last thing, obviously, someone you were linked to is Conor McGregor. What do you make of his performance? Obviously, getting knocked out. What do you think he has to come back from this? Like, what do you think is next for him?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he wants to fight Poirier again, and if Poirier wants to make some big money, I'm sure that's a good fight for him as well. I don't really knock anybody. I'm just gonna big up Dustin. I thought he had a great performance. It was good to see him win. He's a great guy. He's helped me train in the past, and I was very happy for him.
Are you kind of mad that McGregor fight never came to fruition, or do you still think there's someday it might happen?
Yeah, of course it upsets me, man. He's the most popular guy in our sport, and anytime you can get in the cage with someone like that, you jump at that opportunity. But I do think it's past. He's only at 55, maybe even 70 if he fights Nate or something like that. So, I'm a couple weight classes down now.
All right, well, Frankie, thank you so much for the time again, man. I really appreciate it.
Got it, Cole. Take care, buddy.
UFC lightweight Diego Ferreira, who's got a big rematch coming up soon. Diego, how's it going?
Doing great, bro. Doing great.
Like I just mentioned, a big rematch against Beneil Dariush. Was this a fight that you wanted?
Yeah, it's a fight I wanted, especially like to get to the ranks, I want to see if I really deserve to be there. And I think it's a good challenge. I know we fought before, me and Darush, but it was the way up, like for our careers. And now I think it's gonna be a great fight because he come with like 5 wins, I come with 6 wins, and I think it's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, and although you are ranked above him, we talked about it like a month ago. I think we talked, and you mentioned you've had a hard time getting fights and getting ranked guys to accept you. So did you have no problem having to fight behind you in the rankings?
No, I realized like something like this, like it's just me, you have to go and achieve your goals, especially because it's my I think it's gonna be a challenge more than a real fight for me because like how I got 1 fight of the year, only, when the Rush already did 3, I have really hard time to get a fight. I did get the fights, but I never get through, the camp. A lot of things happening, a lot of things is going on in my life at the same time, especially the pandemic, a lot of things going real bad. I was trying to get married, I'm already married, but I was gonna try go through the church, my wife was pregnant, we lost the baby, was something like really affected me too, like really caught me like off guard because once I was really dreaming having a girl. I have a boys right now, and my dream was having like a girl, and and she lost. We lost the baby, but it was one thing behind another one, and I think this is a challenge for me. This is like a way to push through. Start my 2021 the right way, 2020 was really really affected me, a little bit personally, but now it's a new year, new challenges, start going hard, start going for my dream, and not because I'm fighting a low rank, but I'm still looking for the top, I'm still looking for the title shot. This is gonna be my time.
And you were matched up against Drew Dober twice. Do you like this matchup more against Dariush, who's obviously a bigger name than Dober, or do you wish that Dober fight was rebooked?
I wish, like I don't have no problem to fight a Dober, especially right after I got this win with Benel, but I always like to fight those guys because of those up and comers, like top fighters, and I like challenges on my life, and this was supposed to be, because Dober was another challenge fighter. He was coming up too, he is coming up, and maybe on the way up we're gonna meet each other again.
You and Beneil fought in 2014. You obviously lost a decision. That was what your first career loss. So like, what's it go like to be able to fight him and kind of get that one back?
I'm not really focused on that one, like about like rematch or anything. I'm thinking about right now. It's another fight, It's more like fighting wise. But like when we face each other in the real, I have a short notice fight, 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks notice. I was in vacation at the time. I'm not giving him excuses, but I was come a fighter. He was too. He got the challenge because he was getting waiting for another person. And in 2 weeks, like we change it up, everything. It's tough. I know because I did before, and for me, it's just one more fight right now. It's good. It's good to take it, especially because he took those things. My first loss on my professional career. But it's still good to finish business, like how I put in my last picture on my Instagram, and that's how I think. It's not about a grudge or anything. I just more about business, fighting, and do things we have to get there in the cage and do what we have to do.
You guys fought like 6.5 years ago. Like, do you even look back at that fighter? Because you guys are two completely different fighters. I'm not really sure how much watching that fight back is really going to help.
No, I really don't look because, like the way I say, it was like short notice. We have a more grappling wise experience. Sorry, grappling wise experience. Not so much like now. Benel is completely different fighter. Like he's stand up. He's he been knocking people out like crazy. I've been seeing it all. He impressed me the whole time, like the way he been finishing the guys. And we got much more technical, much more technical, much more experience on our careers, and just get me more excited, more to get my work done, especially my Muay Thai, on my wrestling, on my boxing, because I want to do good. He have his time too already, and I think this is my time the most because I'm really excited and just to see how improve. And watch that videos. The last time we fought is not gonna help it. We're totally different fighter.
How do you see this fight playing out? Just because you guys, Benil's obviously known as a grappler, but past few fights he's shown his striking. Sorry, his chin's gotten a lot better. Like that was a big concern for a while. You have underrated grappling. Your striking pressure is obviously impressive. Like, how do you see this fight playing out? I wouldn't be surprised this is a straight stand-up fight. I wouldn't be surprised this goes down to the ground. Like, what do you see playing out in this fight?
I don't know. I'm waiting for everything. The strategy we're building right now is to be ready to grappling, to stand up, to boxing, to do everything. But I think we really gotta go hands up. We gotta stay on the toes and we gotta go to the brawl. And I like that because for my last, not with the fight with Pettis, but the fight I fought in Abu Dhabi. I think I kind of hang pretty good with the guy, like high stand up fighter. I felt pretty good, and I think that's gonna be the more or less the way it's gonna go.
What do you think a win over Benil does for you? Lightweight division is obviously so stacked. You're ranked in the top 10. He's ranked below you, but beating any ranked lightweight is obviously a big win.
I think it's gonna be a big win for me because like it's my way up. Like it's a chance I have to really get to the top, and I think you feel like it's like I want to see. It's gonna be more a challenge, because if I really deserve to be on that spot, that's what I'm thinking, like that middle, to get through the rank, and another one to like really if I deserve to be on that spot, like I think it's those most things gonna be for me, and it's gonna be bump me up a little bit more on the rank. I think that's what it was gonna do to me.
Do you plan to call out anyone? Because to me, I think you beat Beneil Dariush. For me personally, I think there's 3 fights that make sense. Paul Felder, RDA, and Tony Ferguson. I'd like to see the Ferguson fight the most just because he's on a losing streak. He's obviously highly ranked. he's going to need a step back in the rankings. Not saying you're a step back in competition, but rankings-wise, you're a step back. And I think that one makes sense. It'd be a really entertaining fight.
Yeah, I've been calling out Paul Felder for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I know we never have a chance to like really get engaged with the UFC. But I'll be good to fight RJ or Paul Felder. Paul Felder come with 2 losses. I don't know how the heck he's still in front of me. But hey, I don't care. I'll be a good challenge for me, RJ or Paul Felder between those. But my eye is more on I forgot his name right now. On he got to fight Dan Hooker. Mike Chandler. That guy, he jumping in front of all of us. It's not fair. I personally, for me, it's like a due respect, but I'm not the boss. I'm just an employee, but I'm looking for the most on that fight.
And just a few more things is, obviously, like we mentioned, this rematch 6.5 years make it, but a big difference too is safe and training out Florida because that gym wasn't really around. So what's that going to? How big of a difference do you think that's going to be?
Exactly. He's gonna make a big difference. He been making a big difference in my career. I never have experience to have a great coach like Coach Safe. He's pushing me. Really open my eye in all aspects of mixed martial art, and now I know. I gotta have a big difference, a big tool on my side to make different to reach my goals.
Just a few more things is obviously you only had that one fight over Pettis last year, so everything goes your way February 6th. Like, are you hoping let's make a quick turnaround? Let's get 2-3 fights in 3-4 fights maybe even this year.
I'm really looking forward to have at least 3 fights this year because last year was not a good year for me, but this year I'm gonna be 110% focused just to be at least to be doing 3 fights of the year.
And you're sharing a card with a teammate in Macy. Obviously, you're supposed to share the card with Steven Peterson, but he's out. Well, what's that going to be like being able to share a card with some teammates?
It's all great, Like I get excited because damn, like it's not so many times I've been see my teammates with me on the same corner, like the same room, pushing ourselves up to train to Cowway. It's just get me more excited to represent my team, to represent my family. And with my team, just to make me more stronger, just make me more dedicated and focused to get the win.
Your last 2 cards you fought on were probably 2 of the biggest ones they've done. You opened up the main card for Conor's return. The fight before, you're fighting at when Khabib and Poirier are fighting, like obviously the sold-out crowd in Abu Dhabi. What's going to be the difference now? You go out there, there's going to be no fans because you're used to having, right when you were fighting, it was obviously the massive crowds, massive events. Like, is that going to be weird for you?
I think so, like I kind of like take the nerves off a little bit, I don't know how it's going to be, but I would have been one of my students be fighting a contender. It's kind of like, it's different, You feel the pressure a little bit less, but the focus is the same. The goals are the same. But it's gonna be a little bit weird because you're not gonna hear so much noise no more. Like it's good when the crowd pump you up and everything, but the focus don't change. But I think it's gonna change a little bit of more the pressure when you're walking through the arena. To walk through the cage, I think it's gonna take a little bit off the pressure. Just there doing business and get out and have fun for like the next 15 minutes.
Someone I wanted to ask about is obviously your last opponent, Anthony Pettis, left the UFC, signed with the PFL. What you make of that?
For me, it's more sad than happening, like happy, because then I thought he gonna finish more his career on the UFC, stay there, like make a Hall of Fame and everything. But he's still a great fighter. He's young. He's still young, and going to PFL, I hope like everything goes well for him. Do great over there. But for me, it's just more, I take like a little pressure too because it's like I took his spot. Now I have to make sure I guarantee the same dreams he did. Be a champ. That's one of the most things I have on my focus and in the front of my eye is to get I got this spot. Now let's see how high I can climb the ladder.
Are you glad this fight's in Vegas as opposed to going back out to Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I like Vegas. You know, like before that, my dream fight in Vegas. I fought Anthony Pettis in Vegas. It was my dream fight on the city, and it wasn't my birthday. You know, everything goes well, and why not have the same experience? You know, and have the same place. It's gonna be great than ever.
And just last thing is obviously last time we talked, you also had a rough year with the gym. You had to force your gym to shut down. Like, well, what's the update on that?
Exactly. Thank God, like everything goes well. Like we're in a bigger facility, you know, in South Texas, in Rio Grande Valley. I ran another place because I was getting small, too small. You know, people started really getting crowded now. Like, and now we're in a big facility. I'm super happy. We have to close. We closed down another one, but man, things going really well. My training, you know, my gym, my team, you know, I thought Forest MMA, I'm so happy for all this, and my business doing really great. Thank you, like my team. Thank you to my team first of all, because I couldn't do all this work, especially through the fight camp, and my team do it with me to move all the mats, move the cage, move everything in 3 days. And we did it, and now like I'm super happy with that.
Well, just one more thing is obviously, I don't think a lot of people realize you don't really live close to Fortis and Dallas. Like, just let everyone know what your commute is to go down to Fortis.
Yeah, I have to drive 9 hours every another week to go to Forest to train with coach, and I have to drive back. But with that, I have I have my friends help me out to drive, but it's a long drive. Once in time, my friends cannot make because work and everything. I have to do everything by myself. Driving 9 hours, getting podcasts, stay like tuned, like stay focused because when we get there, it's war time. You know, it's training time, and every time is a great time.
Well, Diego, thank you so much for doing this again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it, Colin. And thank you, BJJ Punkon. And let's do this. February 6th. I'm excited for that.
All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Cody Stamann, who's got a big fight coming up. Cody, how's it going?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. Obviously, supposed to fight Marab on February 6th. This is a fight a lot of people wanted to see, and then he gets COVID. When that happened, was it basically keep me on this card, or was there ever talk of the UFC wanting to push that fight back?
You know, I mean, after it got squashed the 5th, you know, I put a lot of effort into, you know, getting ready for the 5th. I hurt my back. I asked for a couple more weeks. They said no. They're going to go with somebody else. I said, you know, I get it. That's the game. And then, you know, they couldn't find anyone. It shows up again. Well, now I've been training for Marab for 4 months, you know what I mean? And anytime you're putting that amount of work in, you want the opportunity to, you know, get in the cage and take care of business. So I was looking for a sure thing, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to just stay ready and hope that they would get me someone for February. And if they couldn't, I would have waited for Marab on a later date. But you know, lucky for me, Andre stepped up and that's gonna happen. So you know, at least I'll get, you know, the opportunity to show how hard I've been working for the last 4 months.
Yeah, and I talked to Andre before his last fight in September, and he was saying you guys were kind of linked to a fight. I think it was in the summer before that old Jimmy Rivera stuff came up. Was that ever a thing? Like he said he would got offered you or something.
Really? Yeah, I never got offered him. That's surprising. I don't know when we would have fought. Maybe when Kelleher, when I fought Kelleher,
Yeah.
that would make sense. Maybe he got offered it then. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense, but yeah, I don't know. I never heard his name before.
So
I didn't really know who he was.
Was this someone you wanted, or were you hoping it was going to be a ranked guy? Because you've already taken that fight outside the rankings with Brian Keller. I thought they would have given you another ranked guy.
I just don't think there was any ranked guys that were, you know, willing to fight me on 3-4 weeks notice. You know, and like realistically, does it matter? I mean, the rankings, obviously everyone holds so much weight in the rankings, but I mean, the rankings change based on who's fighting who. I mean, not even like whether you're fighting or not. You know, I mean, I was ranked 10th and I lost to Jimmy, and somehow now I'm 13th. Like, people are jumping the line that aren't even beating guys that are ranked, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't always make the rankings don't always make sense to me. And I feel like if you honestly believe that the rankings are an actual, you know, like they actually mean something, they don't. I mean, they really don't. I mean, there are good guys, and obviously the good guys are going to be ranked the best guys in the division if they're fighting the best guys, the hardened veterans. But at the same time, making it's just about getting the in-cage experience. You know, obviously I fought nothing but ranked guys. I fought 6 ranked guys in my fighting career. I've only had 2 guys outside of the rankings in my entire UFC career. So, you know, I'm happy to get someone that's not ranked, because it's been killer after killer after killer. Not saying Andre's not, but there is a different level.
And just before we get more into your fight, but do you think that Merab fight is one that's going to happen just because you guys have spent so much time working on each other?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, if I had the kind of performance that I'm planning to have next Saturday night, I don't know that I'm going to need to fight Merab. Merab was just a ranked guy that everybody kind of saw as unbeatable. And really nobody wanted. I mean, look, they couldn't even find the guy a replacement. Nobody wants to fight that guy. You know what I mean? And everyone looks at him like he's the best wrestler in the bantamweight division. But I don't necessarily see him that way. I think that, you know, I can wrestle with a guy. I just think he has the best cardio. I think he pushes the hardest pace in the division. And I really did want to test myself against someone like him. But there are a lot bigger fish in the sea, bigger names. You know, we'll see what opportunity comes up. You know, if Merab keeps coming up, obviously I've said yes to that fight twice. I don't really see why I wouldn't say, you know, I would see Merab go fight somebody. You know, I'd like to see him beat somebody worthy, bring some more name value to the table.
And now into your fight, obviously, the first thing I have to bring up is you've talked about it before. You have little T-Rex arm. That's why you wouldn't go up to featherweight. And Andre Ewell is one of the bigger guys at bantamweight. Like, he has like a foot-inch reach, like a foot-long reach advantage over you. Like, how do you
10 inches? Yeah. I think he's going to have a 10-inch reach advantage. Listen, I fought guys that came before. I fought Tyrion Ware, same thing.
Yep.
He was 5'8", 74-inch reach, same as Andre Ewell, boxer. The only difference is that one was orthodox, one was southpaw. And not only that, but most of my training partners are, you know, most of the good wrestlers I prepared for against in this camp. You know, Mark Dickman, he's like 5'10" with like a 73-inch reach. Like, I was going against tall guys the entire camp. And most of my training partners are bigger. They're 45-pounders. They're 55-pounders. So, I mean, listen, I've been short my whole life. I've fought guys with longer arms than me my entire fighting career. Is this going to be any different? Yeah, I think it is going to be a little bit different, because he's one of it's like abnormal. You know, like when I first went out and fought Tyrion Ware, like I threw a kick and he hit me with a jab, and I was like, wow, like I can't believe that he hit me from that far away. But pretty fast in the cage. And honestly, if you're Andre Ewell, you got to keep me off you for 15 minutes in a really small cage. I mean, that's what he has to do. All I got to do is get inside one time, because once I figure out how to get inside, you know what I mean, I just unlock Pandora's box, and I'm just gonna keep doing it over and over again, and that's just bad news.
And you're someone too where it doesn't matter if he stuffs the first takedown, because you're going to keep going and going and going. Like, do you think that relentless pace and that relentless grappling is eventually going to try to break him?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could definitely, you know, I've said it before. I think that with how much wrestling I've done for this camp, I've done more wrestling for this camp than I've wrestled in the last 2 years of my fighting career, you know, just in preparation for Merab. I was offensively wrestling, defensively wrestling, just like the wrestling pace that I can put on right now is, I've never been able to do this in my entire fighting career. I've never had the gas tank that I have right now. Honest to God, I've never had. I just knew what I was getting into fighting Merab. I knew that I had to be so well conditioned in preparation for a fight like him, because that was how, like, if I'm Merab, I think I'm more skilled than him, but if he's gonna beat me, he's gotta wear me out, you know. So wanted to make sure that that absolutely could not happen. So if I want to go after Andre Ewell, takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown, I can 100% do that. And I know that I can break him that way. I mean, I think that's the safest way for me to fight, right? But honest to God, I think I can strike with him too. You know what I mean? Like, of course, when you're fighting someone that long, it prevents its challenges, but I mean, I don't really care. You know, I've been working a lot on my striking. So it's like, do I want to go in there knowing that I can absolutely wrestle fuck this guy and just do that? I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, that secures a win, but I also want to be, I don't want to necessarily be known as a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like that wrestling title came by accident. I don't actually wrestle that much. I find takedowns in fights. You know, they just come to me naturally. I think it was just the first martial art I did. So, you know, when shit hits the fan or the opportunity presents itself, I shoot and I have a good shot. I have one of the best shots in MMA, I think. You know, I mean, I take everybody down. I've taken everyone down. So, you know, the takedown's always there. But realistically, you know, I want to crack this guy. Like, I want to hurt him on his feet.
And you look at Andre Ewell, if you do end up getting him down, which I fully expect you will get him down eventually, he's been tapped open at Thaddeus Wood. Marlon Vera ground and pounded him out. Like, do you think it's the fight? You finally get that first UFC finish under your belt?
God, that's something that's eluded me, and it's absolutely drives me nuts because I put guys down in the gym all the time, and like I'll hit somebody and they'll do the stanky leg, and then I get in a fight, and like people don't really come after me. You know what I mean? They don't really necessarily come after me. I think the most aggressive guy I fought so far was probably Jimmy Rivera, and that was a fight that I just didn't even train for. You know what I mean? I was in terrible shape, and I almost got him with a couple big ones. And it's like guys, they wait for me. They don't give me that opportunity to create that collision. You know what I mean? To where in the gym, you know, no one's necessarily as worried as they are in the cage about getting knocked out. You know, I think Andre Ewell will come forward with his hands. I think he will give me that opportunity, but I think I can do it on my feet. I think I can knock him out on my feet. I really, really believe that in my heart. I mean, I've been sitting guys down consistently now for 3 months. I mean, my plan to fight Merab was to knock him out. I wasn't gonna, you know, I was gonna offensively wrestle him and let him know that I could take him down, and then I was gonna knock him out. So my game plan isn't to ground and pound Andre Ewell down. It's to take him down to lead to the knockout. You know, I want to finish a fight on my feet, and I want to see somebody crumble on their feet. I mean, I know I can do it on the ground, but I want to see it on my feet.
Just a few more things. Obviously, this is your first bantamweight fight in a couple ones. Obviously, the Kelleher Rivera were featherweight. Are you a bit worried or not worried, but a bit dreading that cut back down to 35?
Oh, I'm dreading it. I can't. Oh man, every time I think about it, it makes me sick. It's a hard cut for me. 35 is tough. It's really, really tough. You know, but I've been in camp now since like September, so my weight's good. You know, I've actually it's the best it's been, and it's because I came in so much lighter. You know, I mean, you go, I'm preparing for a fight, I get hurt, I'm out for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then I'm back in the gym. So I didn't really have time to blow up. So I've been consistently low this whole time, which is weird. And I've ate more than I've ever eaten before, and my weight's better than it when it would normally be. Normally, you know, I get huge. I'll be 170 pounds. I'm like just a little fat kid. I can't help it. But I mean, this time around, it's been pretty consistently low the whole time. So, no, dude, I hate cutting weight. I hate the diet. I hate that mess of the only part of the sport I really dislike is that part. But it's good this time around. So, I mean, sure, the last 24, 48 hours are really going to suck. They always do. But I'm not as stressed as I usually am. Usually at this point, I'm like shitting my pants. Like, man, I got to cut, you know, a solid 20 pounds of water. And this time around, it's going to be less than that.
And just last thing, obviously, ranked 13. Like, what do you think a win over Andre does for you? He's not ranked, but to me, I think this win just puts you right back to where you were before that Rivera loss, where you're probably getting a top 10 guy or so, at least one ranked ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be maybe even higher, but the only guys I've lost to are guys in the top 10, and I beat guys in the top 10. I've beat guys in the top 15. I beat 4 guys in the top 15. So I mean, this shit doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't care what the rankings are. I want to fight the best. I want to fight names. I want to fight the legends of the sport. I want to have guys like Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar and the elites on my resume when this is all over. So I'm looking for those big fights. I want those big opportunities because I think finally now I have the experience in the cage in the UFC to really go after those guys. You know what I mean? To where I was fighting guys like Brian Caraway and I was fighting Aljamain Sterling. It was like my second, third UFC fights. You know what I mean? Like I really hadn't had any experience at this level. I went from fighting in someone's backyard to fighting at T-Mobile. You know what I mean? Like, and it happened in 6 months. Like I didn't have time to adjust the new level. And I didn't come from a big mega gym where I was, going with these guys that are on that elite level every day. So, and now I am. Now I know where I stack up. A million times I'd go back and kick the shit out of myself if I went back and fought. So I'm definitely ready for those big fights.
All right, well, Cody, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Andre Ewell, who's got a big fight against a ranked opponent, Cody Stamann, coming up here. Andre, how's it going?
Pretty wonderful, man. Waking up and getting in the mood to do, or end up finish cutting my rest of my weight, and that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, fights coming up here soon. Short notice, obviously. Cody Stamann was supposed to fight Marab. When did you kind of first hear about this fight? Because last time I talked to you, you mentioned you were linked to Cody in the summer, but it didn't come to fruition.
Well, that definitely didn't happen. But when I ended up finding out about this one was about like 3 weeks ago. But reality, it's like, is it that I really have a short notice because I've been trying to fight since my last opponent, and granted that's 4 months or give or take, and I've been trying to fight this whole time, and so I've only been preparing for wrestlers because everybody in my weight class is either wrestlers or black belts. So in reality, it's not really a short notice fight for me like that.
Yeah, and Cody Stamann, basically just you described him, just that wrestler, like a hard-nosed wrestler, just likes to get you down to the ground, does a lot of damage on the ground. Basically, is this fight, what you've been training is stuff those takedowns, and you think you're going to have a lot of success?
Oh, definitely. It's one of those situations where not only stopping takedowns end up pushing my aura out, and on top of that, let them know that my wrestling is just as good as their wrestling and my jits is just as good as theirs. So one thing that if I'm weak at, I'm always open to honestly strengthen it or figure out the loopholes that I need to, mend them.
How much do you look at Cody's last fight against Jimmy Rivera? Because Jimmy was a guy that was able to stuff the takedowns, and we saw obviously Stamann on the wrong end of a decision just because Rivera kept it standing and then just used his striking just to kind of piece up Cody.
Well, excuse me. My apologies. All right. No, with that one, things can end up flipping in many directions, because not only that, Jimmy is like basically the same height as him or a little bit shorter or a little bit taller, but little match as if you get lower or just as low, wrestling can get canceled out. And that was like one thing about when him and Sterling ended up fighting. It was getting canceled out because Sterling was not only moving, but at the same time staying very aggressive at that height level. And with me, I know that I have an advantage on height, but at the same time, it can end up being my weakness. So in other words, there's certain things I have to end up correcting to make sure that it end up not becoming an issue. But everybody knows that I come to fight, so I am going to be in his face. So if it's wrestling he wants to do, then we'll do wrestling. But it's going to be one of those things. If he constantly keeps shooting, he's gonna end up finding himself end up either getting choked out or, I'll just leave it like that. Either end up getting really choked out.
Something that is really interesting to me about this fight is this. I'd have to look at it. This has to be like right up there for the biggest like a discrepancy between reaches. Like he has 64.5 and you have a 75-inch reach. Like that's a 12.5-inch reach advantage. You don't really see people having a foot reach advantage. Like how important do you think that's going to be in this fight?
Definitely big. Obviously, it will be a big piece if I use it. You feel me? And I'm going to use it, but that's what everybody's mindset. Well, yeah, he has that super reach advantage, but if he gets past it, what is he doing? And if you look at all my fights with all my other opponents, everybody sees what happens when they so-called get past my reach advantage. So at the end of the day, like I stated, I'm going to be in his face. So that's how we're gonna end up having this party started.
That first takedown attempt, how big do you think that's going to be? Because if you stuff it, I think that's going to hurt his confidence. They'll not be able to get you down on that first attempt.
Oh, definitely. I think I'm already hurt his confidence as soon as he ends up seeing me face to face. That's how I honestly feel. I think I'm already going to be in his head. To be honest, I feel like I am already in his head. Just the fact is that I am supposed to be a walkover fight for him. But the funny thing is, not a lot of people want to fight him except me. I'm always down to fight better opponents or best opponents or wherever the case is. And so at this moment, I feel like I'm already in his head because I'm what is the betting at this moment? Like, I believe I am like.
I'm just looking here. You're plus 250. He's minus 300. So a pretty big favorite.
So in their head is put like that. And, so I'm going to guarantee I'm putting money on me. And I'm about to be coming up, I'm about to come out with a lot of money. So there you go.
Do you actually like betting on yourself? Because I've talked to some fighters, they like betting, they just don't bet on themselves because they don't feel like it. And then other fighters say, "Oh, I'll bet on myself no matter what the odds are."
Truly told, I'm not really a betting man like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I bet here and there, and I haven't bet on myself. But if I had an opportunity to, this would be the best one because right now he's supposed to win. So I already know I'm already in his head because he already in the back of his head is if I don't win, hey, they can kick me out, or hey, I lost to somebody I wasn't supposed to. But in reality, I already know that this is where I belong, and I'm supposed to I belong in the rankings. It's just I had to have the opportunities, and the one time that I had the opportunity, I was short by a Florida opponent, Cheeto. So it ends up happening his night that night, but if we end up rewinding that, I beat him 9 times out of 10. So,
are you surprised Cody took this fight? Because this seems like a high risk, low reward for him. Because if he goes out there and beats you, he's kind of in a lose-lose to me. Because he goes out there and beats you, everyone goes, "Oh, well, he should have beat Andre." Like that, it doesn't really do anything for him. But if you go out and beat him, like that's gonna hurt his stock. He's probably out of the rankings. Like, if for you, this is like all the gain, really, in my opinion.
I don't think that it's going to make his lose his stock by losing to me. And you got to end up understanding that what I ended up stating not too long ago, not a lot of people want to fight Cody. People don't get that. Like, it was the same thing with Cheeto. No one wanted to fight Cheeto. And I am the one that walked in and said yes to it. You end up finding a lot of people where they say, "Hey, we're not ready," or "Hey, we want this, but we want it at this time," or "Hey, we'll fight him if he comes up weight," or something like that. There's always a case or to end up making their sides a little bit more favorable. He was supposed to fight 3 times or 2 times, I believe, with Merab, and first case was he had to pull out, and this one Merab had to pull out, and other people have a chance to honestly take number 13, but they're saying no to it. You got to think about this. Why? Because it's a short notice. Instead of being ready, at all times type thing. Now a lot of people end up want to fight the guy, and that's just how it is. And I'm the guy that's willing and open to honestly take that chance. You know how many opportunities you're gonna end up ever having in life. I just turned 33. Think about it. Like how many opportunities I am really gonna end up having to take over this game. Right now I'm on the fast track to number 1. And that's how I'm gonna take every advantage, and I'm gonna push forward on every one of them and show I belong. And then at the same time, people say ain't not much to gain as in the losing the stock. You gotta remember, Cheeto wasn't ranked until after he fought me.
Yep.
Fact. So that's already showing you where the UFC already has their mind with me. It's just I gotta do my job and basically finish everything. I finish, I'll be just as much talk as everybody else, like O'Malley and everybody else. Think about it. I'm literally fights of like say for instance all the 4 wins that I have. If I ended up finishing all of those or you know, beating them the way I'm supposed to beat them, as in knockout and all that other stuff, I'll be the top guy, probably been ranked and all this other shit. You gotta think about that.
Is there a bit of pressure on you to get a stoppage? Like you just mentioned there, like obviously finishes do a lot of stuff. People take notice of the finishes wins. Your fights are still very entertaining. You're on the brink of finishing. You just haven't been able to get it. Like, do you put a bit of pressure on yourself to go out there and finish this guy?
A bit. Just factors in one, like all those finishes. I like how you said I keep them exciting. It's because I'm always trying to be a crowd pleaser, fan pleaser. You know, I fight for the fans type thing, and I could do this whole look for the finish and everything, and actually, bro, it's likely get the finish, but it'll be a boring setup. Like, you know, it's one of those when I one shot punch people or try to, you know, counter off of whatever it ends up getting brought in type thing. I could be that guy, but it's going to end up building up boringness to where people are not going to end up, you know, tuning in until the knockout happens. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a knockout, awesome, but look how long it took them to get there. Like, you know, so everything, like I said, it's approach of how you end up approaching. You know, you might have some people who are mad aggressive, and you might have some people that are going to try to play it safe. And a lot of people that fight me play it safe in the first round because they know I always come out hot. So it's like, hey, let me stay away from them, you know. And then if I end up playing it safe as well, we're going to have a very long, boring first round that no one wants to watch. Are you with me? And there's my stock automatically dropping. And then it kind of comes into what end up happening in the second round, because obviously the second round is, hey, we got to pick up this pace because we might have lost the first round. So there we go, you know. And then your real fight don't happen, or that will get your real fight. But then after that, what's happening in the third? Stuff like that, man.
And Cody Stamann obviously is a ranked guy. So what do you think a win here does for you? Because I think a win here obviously puts you in the rankings, but it allows you to start calling your shots, where you can start calling these top guys out.
Oh, definitely. You ended up saying it all. It's going to place me in number 13, so I want everybody to start calling me number 13. Call me 13. You feel me? And then 2, you know, it's going to end up placing me, like you said, where I'm able to call out anybody. And I'm going to end up calling out legends because that's how I kind of like want to go about it. Like Uriah Faber, I'm trying to bring him back out one time. Let him, you know, have a little taste back of the cage again. You know, it's been a long time since since he fought
Peter Yan at what, 245, like December 2019. So yeah, quite a while.
Yeah, I feel like that's a long time. So might as well bring him back out. And then, you know, Dominic Cruz is also out there. He's cool peeps. So I would like to move with him. And then you know, you got Aldo that brought himself up in here now, and then eventually Cody, the other Cody. So I end up looking at it, you know, I already have one legend out of my butt. My bad.
No,
Yeah, I already have like one legend in my list already knocked down, and I got basically like 3 to 4 more left to go.
just a few more things. Obviously, on the regional teams, you were a guy that was active. You were fighting like 5 times a year, and the UFC's only been able to do twice here. Are you hoping for a bit more activity this year?
Oh, definitely. I'm looking for 7. I'm looking literally to fight 7 times this year, and I feel like I'll be able to put that all in. And they just got to end up giving me the okay to it, because I already know that I'm down. And they know that I'm down because I was trying to fight 3 times extra last year, you know, especially with that whole little 6-month break period. So I was like on a catch-up mode. But this year, like I said, I'm aiming for 7.
And just last thing, we've talked about it before, but you're a massive guy. Like, what you've talked about making that move to featherweight, like how many more bantamweight fights do you think you got until you make that move? Because that move is inevitable. Well,
the goal is, I was telling my manager for this one, this year, if I can do 2 and 2, or like splitting all automatically in half, where we're trying to attempt of a half, where it's like do 4 bantamweights, this one's going to be counted as one, and then 3 featherweights, you know, just kind of like test the waters with on it this year.
But I think you got to get a ranking at bantamweight first, because then you can start calling ranked guys in featherweight, because then you don't want to make all that work at bantamweight, not get ranked, and then have to do the exact same thing at featherweight.
No, yep, you're definitely right. And that's why this fight's very important. So when it ends up becoming me number 13, and then, I end up, like I said, I'm going to call out Uriah Faber, bring him out, and Dominic Cruz, a winner of Dominic and Casey, because I believe Dominic right now is 11 and Casey's 15. So by me winning, I should be right there in the middle, number 13. So now I'll be able to call out 11 or Rivera. Hell, there's like a lot of people that I'm able to end up calling. So as soon as I get ranked in the top 10, featherweight is definitely what I'm going for, and definitely going to end up calling. Might as well start looking up opponents.
All right, well, Andre, thanks so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me, man. And my apologies on, being so early for me.
Yeah, no worries at all.
All right.
All right, we're joined by UFC light heavyweight Mike Rodriguez, who's returning pretty soon. Mike, how's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good.
Before we get into your fight, we also have to talk about that last one. Very controversial. You should have got the TKO win over Ed Herman. But the part I want to talk about is the appeal. Like, were you surprised the appeal got denied? Just because everyone always tries to appeal stuff, and they always get denied. But in your case, like, it was a legit, like, that should have been at worst a no contest.
Yeah, I know. I didn't understand it, but I just took it how it is, I was like so confused. I'm like, oh, how is that how do you appeal it? But I don't know.
Did you see after your fight too, they started doing more like the instant replays and stuff?
Yeah, I started seeing it afterwards. But it's all good. I'm glad it went down in history as for like a change in the sport. So that's good.
You're fighting a guy coming off a win. Normally, UFC match makes guys coming off wins against coming off wins. Do you kind of view the UFC thinks like they're treating that as a win for you?
Yeah, that was the thing going after that fight. That's what Mick was saying. He's like, everybody said that you won that fight, so they're like, we're gonna match you against somebody who has a win as well. So that's how we're here today.
And Danilo Marquez, obviously coming up his UFC debut, a decision win over Khabib Ibrahimov. What you take away from that performance?
I could tell he was very rusty. Like it was a while since, because he had a big layoff. So I kind of don't kind of get skilled. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a pass, kind of a deal, because he just came back. So, but I think his the best that we're going to see from him is when he comes fighting me, because I think he's going to be full-fledged into a full camp. He's just coming off a win. He got some momentum. So yeah, it's going to be a great fight.
You just brought up his momentum. You were riding momentum out and entering that Ed Herman fight, coming off that win. I remember talking to you before, and you said, "Oh, that's like do or die for me." So, what's the momentum like now entering this fight compared to what it was before that Prochnio fight?
What it's about now is consistency. Got to stay consistent. So that's what the big kicker is now. It's just being ready, staying consistent, and trying to continue to execute.
You all the fights have been in Vegas for you so far. Are you happy with that, or do you wish you would have been heading out to Fight Island?
No. I'm glad I'm in Vegas.
Because I guess you probably had a bunch of teammates, and Tyson's been out there too. So have you heard all the stories?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go.
Yeah, I've heard it from everybody. Everybody's like, nope, don't want to go. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. I mean, it would be cool to experience it, though. It would be cool. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, is Marquez entering that fight hadn't fought in like 2.5 years. So do you really put much stock in the last fight, or do you just kind of view it as like you mentioned, like he's rusty and you can't really put much stock into what he looks like in that fight?
Yeah, kind of both. Like some things I do pay very close attention to, but most of the time it's like I can't really judge because it was a while since his last fight, Is
that hard to prepare for then, just because you don't know if that truly is what he's like as a fighter, or if that was just because of the layoff?
No. You still got to prepare. Still got to be prepared. I mean, I can't control any of that. I can only control what I can do, so that's it. I'm just staying on top of me.
You obviously have a ton of knockout power. We've seen Marquez get knocked out before. Is that kind of how you see this fight playing out?
I plan on knocking him out, yes. I plan on finishing him.
What do you think a win over Danilo does for you? Just because obviously it technically would be 3 fights in a row, winning streak. Like, where do you think that puts you in light heavyweight division?
I think I'm creeping up there. Not up there yet, but I'm creeping up there.
Last year, 2 fights. Is that kind of what you're looking for this year? Or are you hoping to be a bit more active?
No, I want to squeeze in like 3. That's why I'm glad this one's like in February and not like in like March or something like that, or like not even March, but somewhere like in April or something. I got like enough time to plan out, you know what I mean, my fights. So yeah, I'm trying to squeeze in 2 more. I'm trying to squeeze in 3.
This card too, like obviously it's not a pay-per-view, but I think this card is gonna be one of the bigger fight nights to do. Super Bowl weekend is always a big one for the UFC. They're getting back to it. Like,
Right.
you excited to be on this card?
Hell yeah, I'm super pumped.
Who's gonna be your corner? The regular guys like Tyson and all them?
It's gonna be Jake Manini. Right now he was just there with Calvin. He's in Abu Dhabi still. Joe Lozon and Steve Mays.
Joe Lozon, like, how important do you think he is for you? Just because he's kind of seen everything in the fight game, he knows what to say and
Mama
whatnot.
Joe, he's good, man. I love Joe. Joe's a good guy. He's super important to me. He's the mom of the clique. He's always like, he really is. But he's awesome though. Yeah.
You guys kind of have that chip on your shoulder, like obviously with Tyson and everything, with that New England cartel, like the Boston guys are sticking together. Like, how much, like, realistically, when do you think that Boston's going to get another UFC champ?
I don't know, man. I think the only person, granted, despite this weekend, but Calvin, man, he's the GOAT. He can get it. He definitely can.
Yeah, Rob Font's right there too. Like, and you're coming
Rob
up like
Font too.
light heavyweight division's wide open. Like, you go out beat Danilo, you're probably getting what? Do you think a win here gets you a ranked guy, or just someone shy of the rankings?
I think I'll probably get somebody after the Danilo fight. I'll probably get somebody that's like who's probably on a hot buzz right now too. So I'll probably just match that guy.
Do you plan on making any call outs?
No, I'm not the call out guy, man. I'm not, because I gotta fight whoever, and then like you amp this up. We see what happened with the Ferguson and Khabib thing. They never fought each other, and they call each other out all the time. I feel like when you call people out, you never get a chance to fight them. So I'm just like, you know what? Give me, I'll fight everybody. Who cares?
Obviously, once all this stuff is over, like, are you looking forward to that regular UFC Boston card? Because I think that now it means a lot more. Like, you could have Calvin atop the card. You could have Rob as like a co-main. You could have yourself. Even Joe. Maybe Joe's coming back for one more. Like, now you guys are all becoming top contenders. Would be a much bigger card for the region.
Oh yeah, I would love that. I would love to fight in Boston.
And just a couple more things is obviously you're getting into you're not getting into. You've been in the streaming. What's that been like for you?
It's been good. I'm taking time off it for this camp because I'm just so busy, and I just don't have time, the energy and time. But yeah, I'll be back to it though right after this camp's over.
Max Holloway's big into the streaming, but he always says, don't be talking about fighting when you come into my stream. Do you kind of hold that same rule, or are you open to anyone talking about fighting?
No, we can talk about whatever. Some people come in and then we sit there, we'll shoot the shit about fighting. They ask me questions. Because it's not like, they're not asking me like the questions they ask me usually is like questions for them to get into it, to see if it's made for them. You know what I'm saying? Or like, to see like what they should, more like advice things, not like they're not asking me from like a fan's perspective. They're asking me for advice, like things for them. Usually it's like fitness and health stuff, things like that. But yeah, no, like sometimes I get like fight questions, but not too crazy.
After the fight's over, what game are you going back into?
I want to get into Tarkov, play more Tarkov. I got to play more Tarkov. Yeah, I love that game. I just been neglecting it. I'm so dedicated to Siege.
Do you like the Assassin's Creed games? I'm playing the new one. I think it's really good.
Oh yeah. I definitely want Valhalla. Yeah, I stopped playing Assassin's Creed since 3. No, I played Revelations too. I think Revelations was after. No, it was 3. Yeah, 3 was the last one I played.
Well, what's like the one game when someone says, "Oh, like play a video game"? What's the one you recommend? For me, I think Red Dead 2 is like one of the best games I've ever played.
You said I can't hear you. Repeat that again.
What's like the one game that you would recommend? Because for me, it's Red Dead 2. Like I think that's one of the best games I've ever played.
Oh yeah, Red Dead is phenomenal. One of the ones I always recommend is Metal Gear Solid. The Metal Gear Solid series is iconic. It's so good. It's so good. Anybody can pick it up and like it. And then probably Last of Us.
Yeah.
Last of Us will be another one. Yeah.
If the UFC had like a video game tournament, there's obviously a lot of gamers out there like you, Whitaker, Holloway. Oh, what game would you challenge those to?
We would have to play Siege, man. I know they all play Black Ops and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, not Black Ops, Warzone. But man, I can't compete with that. But I mean, I'll still get a crack. I'll play it. So, it's whatever.
Just last thing is obviously you mentioned you want to get active this year, so everything goes your way. Like how quickly? When's that ideal time frame for you to return?
It all depends on how I feel after this fight, but I want to get right back to it if I can.
All right, well, Mike, thank you so much for doing this again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.